All right. What's up, everyone? This is Isaac with Hunger Smash Fitness coming to you once again with another fabulous live stream with my co-host, John, over at My Block Strongest Man. Today's guest, we have Kyle Evanoff. It's Evanoff, right?
It's Evanoff,
and
yeah.
Cody Abell. Two fantastic strongman athletes who are very strong for their size. They're not quite my size, but, you know, proportionately, they're pretty strong. So we'll say that. So before we get started too much, John, do you want to talk about any videos you've posted, anything like that?
Yeah, what have I done recently? So I had my awesome interview with Nadia Stowers. If you haven't caught that one yet, there was a slight technical glitch at the beginning. I had to switch over to another link, but she was awesome once we got going. Super understanding and super informative. Lots of tips. Awesome, great stuff. So if you haven't caught that one yet, definitely worth the listen. She was great. I can't wait to have her on again. Then, of course, we had Travis on Isaac's channel. So you'll see that we kind of share on Strong and Stronger. So you can catch, if you haven't caught that on his, you can catch it on mine or vice versa. Bobby Thompson came on as well. So he gave us all kinds of great feedback about World's Strongest Man, kind of like what was going on with the deadlift and the log press, with the Valsalva maneuver whole story, how the heat affected them, and just a lot of really cool, maybe insider stuff you may not have known from hearing on the internet. So check that one out too. That's on both of our channels as well. So whoever you choose to support there, no big deal, but awesome interview with Bobby. And then I had a couple other kind of snippets pop out. So we had Joshua Hillen on the channel a few times, and we had kind of a few snippets out of that discussion that we've had with him in the past. And so you'll see kind of truck pulling discussions with him and James Stanko and Albert Brand. And I've taken out like little pieces of those conversations that are topic specific. So you'll see those come out. Then we had Maxime Boudreau on my channel as well. So podium finisher at World's Strongest Man. Definitely check that one out. That one's very exciting. And then my most recent release this week was a live stream about how I did with my World's Strongest Man 2021 prediction. So I got roasted a lot for originally saying Tom Stoltman and Brian Shaw would make the finals. And then, of course, I did all the math. I showed you my original predictions, my predictions right before it started. No cheating. I predicted before it started and compared them to actuals. And you know how I do. I give you all the math. And, hey, you might come to the conclusion that besides those two big faux pas, I did okay. So, Isaac, that's what I released this week.
Yeah, I think other than your predictions with Brian and Tom, you were fairly on point with almost everybody else, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like Jerry Pritchett's injuries were hard to predict and things like that.
Right.
But, then you have JF, who did amazing despite an injury.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, JF, he still got, what, 10 reps on the deadlift, even with a torn hamstring or something like that. So, I mean,
I think he still won that event. That's the one. So Laz and I like to kind of jab each other. So he was giving me some heck over some of my predictions. So I had to remind Laz that he did not have JF in his top 5, even when he thought he was fully healthy. So there you go, buddy.
There you go. Awesome. All right. Well, I honestly have not really released any videos because I have been crazy busy with school, which we were talking about a little bit ago. Just a side note, if anyone is considering taking a 4-week, 5-credit chemistry class over the summer, don't, because it takes up your entire day, all day long, at least 6 days a week. So now that that's out of the way, hopefully I can start making more videos again. I'm working on one for Giants Live, the Strongman Classic coming up. So that one should be fun. Keep your eye on both John's channel and my channel. We're both making separate predictions, so that'll be fun to see who's a little bit closer and who's not. I have no clue. You know, maybe we need to have some sort of, the one who's less accurate has to lose some sort of bet or something, but we can figure that out when we actually release the video.
I'll wear your Hunger Smash shirt or something.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect opportunity, right? Because Laz is competing, so he can't do predictions. So, you know, the students have to jump in for the master.
We have to take his place. Perfect. All righty. Well, let's start off. Well, Kyle or Cody, do you guys have anything in particular that you want to talk about? Any videos that you want to cover? Anything in particular, or should we just start going with it?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have clashed at OSG before, right? Do you want to kind of talk about how you cross paths or how you know each other? That might be an interesting story.
Well, I haven't actually been to OSG yet. I just won nationals here in Canada this past year, so I've qualified the year prior, but I haven't actually competed yet. So this will be my first year actually heading on down to the States to represent Canada.
Awesome. Yeah, I know it didn't happen last year. I think a lot of people very excited to see OSG back this year. But Cody, you were there before, right? I think you had a post about OSG.
Yeah. So I qualified the very first year in 2017, and then qualified again by winning the North Carolina state title in 2018. And so I was there 2017, 2018, and then 19, I got hurt a few months out and had to pull out, and was hoping to come back, and then obviously couldn't, like everybody else. So super excited to kind of make my return trip back to OSG. And when I did it the first two times, it was in Raleigh, which I was actually living in the area at the time, so that was really nice. But I have a lot of family in the Daytona region, so it'll kind of be like going home in a lot of ways anyway. So yeah, I'm excited to get back in the mix.
That's awesome. And so is OSG is a birth to America's Strongest Man for all weight classes? Is that right?
It is the official world title for every single weight class besides the open men. So 80, 90, 105, whoever wins those divisions, they are via the organization that sponsors it, the official world strongest 80, 90, or 105. Sorry, my dog walked in. 80, 90, 105 champion. And then the same with the women and masters. And then they do have the open division. And then the open division, if I remember correctly, they get to go to Giants Live, which is then how you get a chance to go to World Strong, the classic World Strongest Man that we've all been watching since we were kids.
Yeah, speaking of that, do you have a favorite who you used to watch when you were a kid? Either one of you?
I would always say probably Kaz, honestly. I mean, that guy's just brought such intensity to any competition he ever did or anything like that. And still even when he was over in the UK there, competing against Magnus for I think it was the Hercules hold. It's like those old guys, they just bring such a different feel to the sport, I would say. And they've come from such a different way of competing, whereas we're just picking random shit. Now we have it more standardized and stuff like that. So yeah, I would definitely say Kaz.
Sacrilege. As a Canadian, you have to say JF.
I was just going to say that too.
Yeah.
Kaz is a great guy, though. I understand your feeling with that. And we when we had Travis on the other day, he actually mentioned that sort of the old guard with strongman, because Travis competed back then as well, and so kind of the old guard and then the new group that's coming through. And he was like, there's very different mentalities between those who were in the up into the 90s and early 2000s, and then the guys who are competing now. So it's kind of cool seeing that difference. But I love a lot of those older competitions or whatever. They're always fun to watch.
Well, I would say
think
Big
the
Z
events
too.
were way more of a spectacle in some ways. Yeah,
100%.
So do you have a top three? Who do you consider the three greatest strongmen of all time?
Ooh. Greatest or just favorite?
You can go either way. That's
personally.
Great to me, the greatest is number one is pretty undisputable, so we don't even need to, you know what I mean? It's Z. Any other answer other than Z it's pointless. My favorite, the only memory I have of strongman as a kid, to be honest, my dad was a very ESPN nut, and I do remember watching it with him. And my dad traveled the whole world, and he had been literally everywhere on the planet. And I always remember sitting on the back porch watching it every now and then on ESPN with him. But the ones that stand out to me, I like Derek Poundstone a lot. I liked Kaz back in the day. I liked Trying to think like old guard. Mike Jenkins. I think he was going to be the new breed of like guys like Martins, Kilishkovsky. I think he was going to be the first one in the Stoltman and Tom in a lot of ways. Like, I think he was going to be the first one. He's big, but he's not 6'10", but he's like athletic. You know what I mean? He was going to be what we're seeing now is taking over the sport. And actually where I live, a lot of guys used to train with him.
It's interesting you bring him up because Isaac knows I just did a whole analysis of the last 20 years of World's Strongest Man finalists, and I took basically points earned over points possible. And Mike Jenkins is really close to the top of that list.
Yeah, he was going to do it, man. I think everyone, at least, like at this point, because it was like in that weird social media was a thing, but Strongman hadn't taken to it yet. So like there's footage and stuff, but like with him, because we lost him sadly so young, it's almost like whispers and urban legends. You know what I mean? It's like literally like folklore. They're like, oh, he picked up a truck with his hand and threw it across the park. You know what I mean? Just like people were just talking about like, yeah, he was going to do it. It was just a matter of time and when he was going to get the shot. And it's really sad.
Yeah, absolutely. On a lighter note, we have two great under 80 kilo competitors here and one in the audience too. Robert Hughes is in the audience. What's up, buddy?
Yeah. So Robert says OSG is the highest level comp in 80K, has hopes of going to.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. If you want to know your standing in the 80 kilo weight class, go to OSG or qualify for OSG and see where you stand. The Arnold is still like, it's the Arnold. And in some ways, how we debate is the winner of the Arnold stronger or better than the winner of World's Strongest Man if it's not the same person. It's kind of similar for the 80s in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, the official title is given out at OSG. So that's what matters.
I would
and
also
you don't have
say,
to go to Ohio.
Well, from that kind of perspective, I would say that the Arnold's seems like it doesn't have as much international avenues to get there. Whereas OSG, it seems like they've done a really, really great job of making it a full proper world's contest, where it's like trying to get people from like Canada, Australia, the UK, like literally a global thing where Arnold's is like you have 75% Americans, a couple Canadians, and some odd Eastern Europeans here and there. So I would say OSG's been more inclusive overall.
I would say that's a dead on, nailed it.
Yeah, and I mean, for fans in the U.S., I think it's exposure that they need to have. Like, I've had Australian athletes on my channel. Carl Sherry and Camilla Fogagnola have been to OSG, and they were on my channel. And just a lot of people in the U.S. aren't aware of them, and they're doing incredible things.
Yeah, and it's, 18, the last year I got to do it, I remember just when I did 2017, I had no expectations. I literally was the last I think I might have been an alternate, or I was either last or first alternate. And I remember Lynn emailed me. He's like, you got in. And I went with no expectations. I had a blast. And then 2018, I just remember I was standing next to Lynn because I met Lynn from the get-go. He was the promoter of my very first show. And I just remember telling him yo, this is it. If you keep this up, this thing's going to be the one to do. Because 2018 compared to 17 was just such more of a spectacle, and it looked more like a sporting event as opposed to guys just working out. And yes, 2017 was a little crazy because they had max log, which I don't think we will ever see another actual max event at OSG ever again, because I'm not lying. I think log took 3 hours, maybe even longer. It was outrageous.
Was that because people kept just going head to head and just kept beating each other then?
We only had I'm visualizing, we might have had 4 or 5 logs. And the big dudes had, I think we all were using kind of typical 12-inch pit bulls. And I think the open and the masters were sharing one wooden log or something maybe. So it would just logistically, it wasn't as nearly as streamlined as the other ones are, which compared to every other show Lynn had done prior, it always is. But so it was an outlier for Lynn for that to happen. Are there any 80 kilo athletes that have put 2x body weight overhead? Yeah, wait, 2x body weight at 80. What's the math on that?
I'm trying to do it. I think it's 340. Guy Fulton, probably.
Wait, who'd you say? Sorry.
Guy Fulton?
Probably. Yeah. I mean,
I've seen him like strict press damn near 315, so.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the implement. I can clean and jerk over 150.
I know Patrick Baugh from somewhere in the Eastern European countries has hit some silly numbers too.
Yeah, he's obliterated the log record in training. I mean, Pat Castelli had I don't know what the kilos are. He hit a 310 log just before OSG. I don't know what he hit at OSG, but I think his best log was 310. And he was not he was like a big 80. He was like basically an 80.
Yeah, Pat was my coach there for a little bit, and I think his best log was 310 at OSG the first year when he won it. It was 285 he topped out on.
Yeah.
So it wasn't crazy, but
yeah, Gagnon. Yeah. Hughes leaving the comment. Gagnon's probably got the best log in the weight class. But if we're talking implements, I mean, there's a few guys. If you give me an axle or a barbell, I can keep up or outdo anybody. Just because I did CrossFit for so long, so I know how to weight lift.
So you're not going to try and do 2 times your body weight with a circus dumbbell?
No.
No single arm. I mean, hey, I would share that video like crazy if you put that up.
What is I think
Flash did 220 with the dumbbell. Flash did 220. Daniel Ashcroft from the UK.
That's right. He just did that.
Yeah, he just crushed it. I think it was probably not more than a month ago, but the size of the dumbbell pretty much like his entire goddamn body. But yeah, so that's where our record's at for the circus dumbbell. 220 pounds.
Yep. Yeah. Did you know he had 8 events for that contest?
Mm-hmm.
Gross.
He's savage.
Yeah. I love it. I want 10 events. Let's do this.
I mean, hey, as long as we're talking circus dumbbell, let's give the ladies some love. Jessica Fithen was going to go for a world record circus dumbbell at my body weight, like 185.
Yep. Yeah, dude, Jessica's a total badass. She's also hysterical and awesome. Yeah, she's a crazy monster.
I've had her on a couple times. She is awesome. I'll definitely confirm that.
So funny.
Yeah, we had Isaac. Who'd we have? We had Jessica. We had Lauren Wells. And Haley Randall all at the same time on the stream. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. Dude, that was a blast.
Yeah, that was an awesome live stream. Well, and then we had the other one with Leifa Ingalls and
Becca Lorch.
Yeah, Becca Lorch and was that Gabby?
Gabby Bergholzer, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That was another awesome one as well. There's some of those ladies are crazy strong, where they're putting up numbers, and I'm like, I can barely do that, and I've got 200 pounds on you almost, or not quite, but like,
it's a good gut check.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you are a beast. That's crazy, man. Well, so so both of you are training for OSG. Do you have any other competitions coming up, or is that your whole focus right now?
You want to go, Kyle?
Sure, I'll go. I'm actually going to be competing here in BC, British Columbia, for those Americans watching, for our provincials contest there. I'm moving up a weight class to middleweight, so the 105 kg. Just more or less make sure that I'm still in competition, ready for them, and a lot of the events are similar to OSG, so I figure it'd be a good kind of testing method right now to see where I'm at and kind of prep for that.
I am doing Strongman Corporation Nationals in October, a month before OSG. Some would say not the wisest move, but I keep my body weight in check pretty good, and I keep a really pretty solid baseline of fitness. So think it should be fine. But yeah, that's mid-October, and it's taking place basically in my hometown. That's also like a motivating factor. And yeah, I got OSG 4 weeks later. So just 12. We got 16 weeks, Kyle. So if you're wondering,
Yeah, it's a countdown.
yeah, it's we're in the red zone now.
Yeah, but you do travel around a bit, Cody, don't you? I think you did Delaware Strongest at one point.
Yeah, I did Delaware Strongest in April. That was my first show back as an 80 after 2019. I got hurt, and then after I rehabbed and came back and was feeling great, I was supposed to compete again, and then things happened in 2020, and so I did one middleweight show. And then did Delaware Strongest, and that was my first time back as an 80 since the 2019 Arnold.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, do you mind talking about what the injury was and kind of how you worked your way through it?
Yeah, I tore my bicep, and I was getting ready to. So the plan was to repeat my state title and qualify for OSG again, because I didn't make the final in 18, so I didn't get an automatic invite. So I wanted to go back and get my state title again. And I would have had about 10 or 12 weeks to get ready for OSG. And like a month out, was just doing axle cleans. And I was doing basically just like as the reps got lower, the weight got higher, and just hit like a moderate axle clean under duress and wasn't paying attention, and I just popped my left bicep, and I didn't really even realize that's what I had done, because it didn't feel like what I thought it would feel like. I just kind of felt like my elbow, like the elbow bone had shifted, and I dropped the axle and twisted and looked at my hand and my wrist, and I was like, maybe I just popped something. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll finish my workout and then I'll go check it out. And then my friend was like, well, try to do this. And he made me go over to try and pick up a dumbbell. And I wrapped my hand around the dumbbell. And when I went to tense to pull it, nothing extensively happened. And I was like, cool, tore my bicep. So I had to call into work because I was going to work that day, and had to call my clients who were driving up from North Carolina. And then I had to go through that. I got really lucky. Surgeon was top notch. He's like a sports surgeon, he's an elbow to shoulder specialist, and he, I guess, works on a bunch of the Washington football team players. And I've never had surgery before. I've never had other than stitches and getting punched in the face or something. I've never had an injury. So I was really worried about how the doctors were going to treat me in terms of being able to get back. And I've also never been put under anesthesia. So that was really worrisome, but he was awesome. He was really honest with me. He was like, how serious is this lifting stuff? And I was like, it's pretty serious. I do it a lot. And he was like, do you compete? And I said, yeah, I compete. I'm training to try and try to be one of the best at the thing that I do. And he was like, all right, well, let's get you back in the game then. And I was like, sick, awesome, came to the right guy. So I think between my surgeon and my coach and my wife, it honestly went awesome. In terms of recovery, getting hurt always sucks, but I literally don't think it could have gone any better. So, and that was August 2019. So it's actually going to be 2 years here soon. And then by March of 2020, I was actually stronger than I was before the injury, but then the world melted.
No, glad to hear it turned out well and you recovered well. So a lot of people clean an axle with an alternate grip. I'm assuming it happened to you with the underhanded grip arm?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So even though I've got a pretty good double overhand, just for energy and time, I'll kind of continental it. However, I actually just learned how to mix grip squat clean it like you would a barbell. I followed some people up north that do it, And I always thought about trying it because I can weightlift. And then I was hanging out with a personal training client of mine and was just goofing off and like worked up to like a 260 thruster on a axle and was like, huh, well, that was easy. So yeah, I think that might be, depending on the weight, that might be how I do it. We'll see.
Makes sense. Kyle, you were talking about getting geared up for provincials. So how does that progression work in Canada? Like, how do you qualify for provincials? And if you win that, I'm assuming you get to go to Canadian Nationals.
Yeah. So how we do it here in Canada, usually we have 2 to 3 regional contests for each province that can put forth them. And then in provincials, it's the top usually 3 to 5 people in that category that get qualified to nationals. And then from there, the top 2 from our nationals get to go to the Arnold's and then OSG in most cases. So yeah, it's more or less one of those ways where it's similar to the States. I would say the top people get to kind of move up through the ranks slowly but surely.
So when are Canadian Nationals?
Also in October. So it seems like most of the nationals tend to line up right before OSG. So I'm going to sit out the Canadian ones because for us, it requires a lot more traveling. And unlike Cody, I'm a little bit heavier than most 80s. So it requires a little bit of a cut. So doing that twice in 4 weeks is not ideal at all.
So wait, your guys' nationals can qualify you for the Arnold and OSG?
That is correct. So technically right now I am qualified to go to the Arnold's as well as OSG because I won.
So is that through just like, is that like an invite? So like my question is it an official affiliation? Because usually the people at Strong Corp don't like to intermingle with anyone that's associated with OSG.
Yeah, so we originally got qualification. So we actually changed all of our weight classes 2 years ago. In 2019, I was on the fence about being an 80 because I didn't like the weight cutting side of it. We had the 90 kg class as well as 105, and we had, I think it was like another one where it was a heavyweight. But we got rid of them all in 2019 to actually go directly into the Strongman Corp and funnel better into Arnold's. So we've always had that kind of spot directly to us, so at least we could still compete internationally. So that's always been a good relationship Canada has had through our promoting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's cool. I was just looking, we have a question in the comments here from Tyler again. Says, what's the max weight like for the lighter athletes of the under 80K world? I have a friend who wants to move up a weight class. He's sitting at 135 right now.
I would say that man needs to eat right now. Get him a burrito and ice cream. That's not me. That's body shaming. I'm just saying, like,
I got that Italian meal in the fridge. You want me to go grab it?
Yeah.
Probably.
Get that man some gnocchi.
Gnocchi's your answer for everything?
Well, so I never ate gnocchi until recently. My wife is also Italian, and she was like, it's basically potatoes, cheese, and sauce, and I was like, well, that's my favorite things. So, I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've competed with, technically Strong Corp has a subclass. I think it's 165 or 150 or something.
I think it's 155. You guys.
155, and I've met a couple 155s. One of them had to cut like a couple pounds, and the other one just weighed 155. Yeah. So I mean, there's some. I mean, all you have to do is look at powerlifting. There are some strong people that don't put a lot of weight on the scale. However, I really think that person needs to eat a little bit. It's gonna be my first recommendation.
Well, he just added this. He says he can out eat me. His metabolism is sky high. I eat over 5,500 calories a day.
I would suggest looking at his training then. That would be the next.
Yeah, something's going on. Here's the deal. If you're eating, like, regardless of your sport, powerlifting, weightlifting, bodybuilding, basically, by and large, we all eat the same. We either eat potatoes or rice, chicken or beef, and then how nasty in the middle is where it all gets. If you're eating like 4 meals a day of that, and then you polish it off with Ben & Jerry's, I promise you're going to start gaining weight. A pint of Ben & Jerry's before bed, you will gain weight.
It's the truth. That is the truth.
Speaking about meals and diets, I have this burning question in my mind. I had to ask you two guys. What's your favorite gummy bear flavor?
I'm really simple and lame. To be fair, it's hard for me to tell because when I eat them, I'm shoveling them by the pile into my hand. So
the answer is all.
All of them. I'm not going to just. However, the red with a green is chef's kiss.
Christmas time.
And then I would say for myself, I'm actually not a fan of gummy bears at all.
Get out.
It's not my thing. I know.
I guess we have to kick Kyle off the live stream. Sorry, guys.
Kyle, I guess I have to make a phone call, and Kyle has to get his OSG invite taken away.
Yeah, some other candy preference
in Daytona.
You have some other candy preference, Kyle?
Yeah, I would definitely go with fuzzy peaches. That's probably the next best thing for me.
Okay.
I just hound those things
like
down.
The peach ring things?
They're not ring. Well, I guess I don't know if you guys have them down there in the States. They look like peaches. They essentially look like peaches and taste like peaches, just better than the peach rings. I'll have to bring some down for you.
There we go. Some Canadian candy. Let's do this.
Darn right.
Yeah, no, Kyle, the brand that's hard to find in the U.S. that you can find in Canada and basically everywhere else is Kinder. Like anything Kinder makes is hard to find in the U.S.
I don't think it's Kinder. I want to say it's the same people that make Sour Patch Kids.
Maybe. Fuzzy peaches are like totally different, but like I don't know if you know the Kinder eggs. They got banned in the United States for a while because they have the toys in the middle. It's a choking hazard, so it was hard to get for a long time here.
That's rough. That's rough.
Sour Patch Kids are awesome. My sister and I both love candy, and we both ate an entire 5-pound bag together over a weekend, and I think it gave us thrush.
Oh my!
Happily gave us thrush.
You enjoyed every minute of it, right?
I love when my gums bleed when I talk, so whatever. It's a bonus.
Well, if we're on this topic, I guess, what is your guys' favorite? Like, do you have a favorite pre-gym meal, a favorite like mid-training snack, and a favorite post-gym meal?
You can go, Kyle.
I would say post-training for me, I find that usually I get the best results is always sushi. Out here living on the coast and whatnot, we have delicious sushi that's, rice full of carbs. So it more or less gets me pretty good to go. I never tend to actually eat throughout a workout for the most part. And post-workout, it's ranges, but I'm going to say pizza because, I have a problem.
Nothing with pizza is ever a problem. Okay, pizza is always a good answer,
except for a weight.
That is true. That is true.
I've actually started introducing like intra-workout carbs because on my days off, I have to basically do as much volume as I can because throughout the week with my job, I'm really busy. So the sessions throughout my work week are a lot shorter. So like today, like on Mondays, one of my days off, it's normal for me to have like a 3.5 to 4 hour session. So I'll do like a scoop of Carbolin with like some type of salt. So either Gatorade powder or liquid IV, something salty, creatine. And then now the sessions have gotten so much volume and so heavy lately that like my coach will write in like food break. And I'll sit down, relax for a minute, and I'll eat a pack of Pop-Tarts. So that's been a good snack with the intra carbs. And then my favorite post-gym meal when I'm not like now I'm not dieting in that I'm not in a deficit yet. Hopefully I won't have to. But like when I can get takeout and not worry as far as my tracking goes, I'm pretty lame mid-Atlantic American, and I love going to just Chipotle and getting just a monstrous size bowl with lots of rice and a Coke Zero. Or if it's like right after OSG, I'm probably going to drink a bunch of actual Coca-Cola. And I love the glass bottle sugarcane Cokes a lot. So, yeah. And then, milkshakes or something.
Interesting Chipotle afterwards. I I can't do a lot of beans after the gym. I can do
strictly
pizza.
rice and beans.
Okay. Yeah.
No beans unless I'm at work ordering Chipotle. If it's after the gym, it's, can I get extra rice? A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. And then some peppers and stuff for the vitamin C and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's basically meat, rice, some peppers, and then a glass bottle Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of being at work, you have a very interesting job. So, like Tyler in the audience, he's world's strongest blacksmith. You're the strongest tattooer. You want to talk about how you got into that line of work and maybe talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, started college in 05. And basically, the only real motivation to go to college for me at the time was I was extensively homeless and needed a place to live, and I got offered a full ride at the university in my region. So went to college, even though that wasn't the direct plan I had. And my scholarship was income-based. And so I needed a job that paid me under the table. So I got a job answering the phone at a tattoo shop in the end of summer 2005. And I was also in a band at the time. So dropped out of college, and then because I was going to play music full time. And then right about that time, my band broke up in the middle of tour on the road, and went back and was trying to sort my life out and was still working at the tattoo shop. And basically the owner was just very shorthanded and also a terrible person. So he didn't have a lot of employees, and basically kind of strong-armed me literally into learning how to tattoo. And about 6 months after that, I quickly realized I needed to get the fuck out of there. And that's what I did. And there's a lot more to it, but that's the Reader's Digest.
Interesting story. Kyle, you have any interesting work stories?
Not really. I mean, what I do currently, I'm a client relations manager for a landscape company. So it's like quoting estimation. The last 5 or 6 years, I was manager of large branch gyms out in Edmonton, and I've been strength and conditioning coaching pretty much the entirety of that. So yeah, it's pretty much my majority of day-to-day life revolves around some sort of sales, going out, chatting with people, that kind of stuff, and then training. It's always been training for some degree. So yeah, nothing too crazy, nothing fancy.
You're muted, John.
Sorry. From the coaching aspect, what would you say is your general coaching philosophy?
Everyone is different, so there's no one method that fits everyone. It's always a case by case kind of thing. I would say that's, at the end of the day, every coach needs to understand that, like, how I train versus how Cody trains is never ever going to be the same. We might have some similarities here and there, but I mean, when it comes down to leverages, where your muscle attachment points are, how your diet looks, how your metabolism works, all sorts of things, it's just never the same.
And then Cody, you mentioned you had clients as well, right? What would you say is your coaching philosophy?
Well, so I coach on a very, 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 very limited basis, mostly because my experience with coaches is very narrow, and the type of coaching I'm used to is the only type of coaching I would offer, which means there's lots of communication, and I just don't have that much time. So it's very limited in the people that I would be willing to work with, because I know they might deserve more than I can offer. But very similar to what Kyle said, everybody's very different. And I think people need to have, I think the important thing for like a coach or a trainer, whatever the verbiage is, I don't even really know, is instead of forcing your, whatever sort of methodology or thing is that I think coaches go through phases like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, like an A week and a B week, or I'm going to do massive accumulation intensification, or whatever whatever nerd phrase there are for that. I think the biggest thing is just looking at who your client is and where they are and what they want, and taking all of that into focus, because I I don't know, man. I just don't think people I think a lot of trainers don't do that. They just immediately put someone, which you have to start somewhere. So obviously you're going to start someone on some type of a template, but like regardless of what somebody like looks like walking in off the street, like training age is something that that people I don't think talk about enough. Even if you haven't barbell trained, but like if somebody's been like a lifetime field athlete, like if they played football and basketball, even if it was only high school, but if they did it into college, and then let's say they were in the military as well, like those are things you actually should account for in some manner or way. So I think just looking at who the client is more in depth.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, I was going to say, do either of you do any like group training or just one-on-one?
No, when I was working with a company up here called Good Life, I was actually like in a commercial gym setting. I did group training here and there. That was more so like still powerlifting focused, but we were working on like guys that couldn't necessarily afford a full training package. So they'd come in and I'd just go through basic form on how to do big 3 lifts and then help them work up to something that they would consider a PR, and if it was rep based or things of that nature. But most of my clientele, I always would much rather focus on working on each person individually because there's so many things you have to look over. Even online training, like because I have a couple of clients through that as well, it's still something that you want to be reviewing videos. Like Cody said, it's all about communication because I expect that with my coaches as well. So I want to make sure that I'm giving out that same level of quality because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for them and the success they see as long as they're putting the work. So
I did some group coaching actually, like I guess it's coming up on almost a year ago. I was brought on. So the facility I train at, Tyson's Playground, is kind of it's a really good facility. You can kind of do almost anything you want there. And a functional fitness gym had closed their brick and mortar and had moved their membership inside. And they had their own rig and stuff. And I got approached by the owner and lead coach to basically work hand in hand with him because he found out I did strongman and whatnot. So I programmed 2 days a week of their programming, and I coached 2 days a week at the time. And that was the extent of that. But now it's with any personal training clients I have, I try to get together with them at least once a month. And then my client Will, who's doing strongman, when he has contests coming up, we try to get like leading up. I try to have at least 1 or 2 sessions with him a month, if not more, and we hit some of the events together because doing some event practice stuff alone is a drag.
Yeah, that was actually a good question you asked, Isaac, about group training because I don't know if you guys follow the 105s at all, but you know Johnny Waz? He just competed at Clash on the Coast recently. So his gym is really close to my house, like 30, 40 minutes away. So I hit him up the other day and I said, hey, hey, how you doing? I have this channel, whatever. He's like, hey, come by and train anytime. So he's in Russia competing right now. But yeah, so I have a professional network that I'm a part of. And I'm trying to convince them to, hey, let's go to his gym and do like an intro to strongman for people who've never tried it before. So, which I think would be really cool. But if I were to ask you guys, for someone who's never done strongman before, what's the first event they should try? I'll give you my opinion and you tell me if I'm cuckoo. So I would say the only thing I've ever done that's Isaac has competed. The only thing I've ever done that's strongman is natural stones. So I have stones on my property. If you check my Instagram, I go into the woods and find stones to lift and stuff. It's fun. But as far as like actual equipment, I would probably want to try an empty yoke first, because if it all goes wrong, I just put it down, like you don't get hurt. Is that a good thought process, or would there be a different first implement to try?
You can go ahead, Carl.
From like a training perspective, I would always start with a farmer's carry. It's the most natural thing that you're going to get day-to-day life, and it's the most easily replicatable. You're also still structurally the strongest in that position as long as you teach a person to keep their back flat. Personally, I would say yoke comes with a lot of potential larger issues because you have to brace the core. So you may have spinal compression. A person walking, you could twist the knee very easily. I've seen people go down on yoke stuff, etc. Like, yes, you put it down, but sometimes if you pick up and it's just too heavy initially. So I would always recommend starting with farmer's carries because it's teaching the core stability, how to properly set in your lats, perform all the correct maneuvers and things like that. And at that same time, you can just drop them and then you're done, right? So,
good tips. How about you, Cody? What do you think?
I think Kyle nailed it. Yeah, I would say like literally someone just walks in and it's like, show me strongman. I've never done anything before. Yeah, I think farmers. I think if it's somebody that's basically just not done strongman, but they've trained. I love a sandbag. Yeah. So if it's someone that has like a training history, whether they powerlifted or weightlifted or CrossFit, but they just haven't done strongman, because I know they have a certain amount of skill and like training history, I would do something brutal with a sandbag. But other than that, I think the farm, I think he nailed it. The farmers is going to come the most natural, and yeah, there's the margin for error is very low.
So you guys are giving me some awesome segues. Speaking of sandbag, I have another question where I really need your advice here. So Brian Shaw just set, again, a world record with the keg over bar for max height out, world's strongest man. But at the Shaw Classic, he's doing sandbag over bar, not keg. So is he trying to prove a point that he's not stacking up the events in his favor? Or is sandbag a truer test of strength and he wants to do it for that reason? What's your opinion?
I would say personally, I find sandbags a lot more challenging than a keg because a keg's static, so you can actually toss a lot higher. For Brian doing it, I imagine it's probably just the change up and the spectacle. He's still an extraordinary thrower. It doesn't matter what he's throwing at any given time, so it's not really going to come down to that. So I would just say it's probably a change up, maybe even sponsorship reasons, because Rogue has bags, Cerberus has bags, stuff like that. A keg is a keg. You can't really plaster anything on that. So yeah, I would personally say in terms of difficulty, sandbags are harder, kegs are easier. They don't swing or kind of fight against you. The keg, you just got to make sure you get the whip and explode and triple extend through. So
I've actually never thrown a keg, so I can't really speak to that specifically. But I mean, again, I think Kyle nailed it. Like, I mean, it is the Shaw Classic. I know that people have some opinions on him doing his own contest and whatever. We don't need to go into that. We can, but I think, I think it's just an easy way to make it similar but different. But like Kyle said, like he's sponsored by Rogue, so it's a great way to get them to possibly. I mean, I'm assuming they're providing some equipment, so they sell those throwbacks. So to me, that would seem very logical, and it's also like the new like hopper event for strongman. Like I feel like if a promoter is like, I need a 5th event, sandbag throw, which I like. I mean, that's not a criticism of the event itself. I think it's a really interesting event, and I think someone that isn't as statically strong can be really good at it and really mess scores up. So yeah.
Every once in a while is all right, buddy. Don't worry. Yeah, no, I brought it up because Brian actually extra motions a keg. He goes up one more time than everybody else. So I think he gets some extra momentum that way. So when I saw he was doing sandbag, I'm like, okay, like you said, he's still strong as hell, but like he's taking away one of his advantages. So I guess he's just trying to make it more fair. And also the other reasons that you mentioned. So yeah, that was interesting. What did any of you guys see the wheelbarrow thing that he's going to use? He just had it on his channel recently.
I watched that video as I was meal prepping, and they just like kept stacking the plates on and stacking the plates on. I was excited to watch that because I actually have a wheelbarrow event at Nationals a month before OSG, and I was kind of watching to see, but it looked pretty different than the one I was using. But we had a wheelbarrow in 2018 at OSG. It wasn't built like that one, but yeah, I would love for wheelbarrow to come back. It was really prevalent a few years ago before I got into the sport, but I would love for like a wheelbarrow, like a monstrous one like Brian has, to become more reoccurring in strongman.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I wonder if the way, I have to check his website to see if the way he was training it is the way the event would be, because that would be really cool. Like you have to load your own sandbags and then move the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, so that was like an event at, I want to say like, that was an event at Strong Corp Nationals in Reno like years ago. The only reason I know that is because a couple of my friends did it. But yeah, that's like a thing. And that was kind of like the 2018 event at OSG. We had to push the wheelbarrow, run around to the front, throw in a Husiful stone, run back around, push it to a sandbag, throw the sandbag in, run back around, push it through, and then a keg. Yeah, there was a keg, a sandbag, and a Husiful stone. So I love stuff like that. I think is awesome. I don't know about Kyle, but
yeah, I love those kind of events because you're getting a little bit cardio, but you're also lifting like these insane weights at the same time. So I think it's a fun combo.
I feel like as smaller athletes, we kind of tend to enjoy that stuff more than the bigger guys, at least from my personal experience in them, because they don't like the things where it's like, oh shit, I got to load 3 more things and run an extra 50 feet. So, that is what it is. For me, those cardio events, they don't bother me at all. It's just, I enjoy strongman where we get to pick up awkward stuff. I mean, that's really what strongman was when it started. So the fact we get to do more of that, I'm totally on board.
I like anything that has like, I also like that there's like a logistical component too. Like if you're like picking an object and having to move it like through a horizontal field, like so many more things can go wrong. And that's what happened the last time I did OSG. The amount of people that like threw the keg into the wheelbarrow and like the wheelbarrow exploded, or like people like my friend Josh took a header with the keg and like essentially gave himself a concussion mid-event, but still finished. I love that stuff. Not that I want to see people get hurt, but like to me that just means the guy that does the event or the woman that does that event seamless with no errors is that much more of an athlete.
Don't say horizontal field too loud. The physicist in Isaac will come out and we won't hear the end of it. I bust his chops because he took like one physics course and I won't let him forget it.
Oh boy, here we go.
By the way,
I took 3 physics courses. Okay, that was about 3 too many.
Now that I busted your chops, Isaac, I gotta praise you a little bit. Anybody who's watching this who has not subscribed to Hunger Smash Fitness, please go ahead and do that. Like this stream, please show this guy some love for all the hard work that he's doing and getting you all these great guests. And that's my soapbox for right now. I'll remind you again later.
Well, and go over to John's YouTube channel as well and subscribe to him as well. So don't forget about
Kyle's YouTube channel as well.
Go to Kyle. Cody, do you have a YouTube channel yet?
I actually do.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, it's just a training log. It's basically a way for me to upload my training videos and then I can delete them off my phone.
Oh, there you go. Well, if you guys send me your channels at the end, I can put it down in the description down below so people can find your channels as well that way.
I'll send it to you. I've been subscribed to Cody's YouTube for quite a while.
Oh, okay.
Kyle, what event are you looking forward to the most at OSG?
Well, I don't want to sound cocky at all, but stones.
Okay.
Yep.
I
love me some stones. Canadians, we're good at them, man.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Canadians are also good at not sounding cocky, so you're all safe.
Yeah, it's true. I have to apologize for it before I say it, but yeah, no, definitely 100% going to be stones.
Yeah. What's the time limit? They extended it. Do we have 75 or is it 75
I think it's
seconds?
probably 75 if they extend it because it was 60 previously.
Yeah.
But
I think they really
don't
want
need 75 seconds.
Okay.
Isaac, I got to tell you, we got to bring Cody on staff. He has some great questions for the athletes.
I'm doing my homework, dude. I got 16 weeks. What do you think I'm doing?
Just seeing what you're up against, huh?
Yeah, man, I got to do homework.
Yeah. What's the weight on the stones at OSG?
The first stone is 220, 225, and then the last stone is 350, and there's 6, I believe. Yeah.
I think so. And then, we load that last one. So I think it's 48 probably.
It's 50. I was hoping it was 48, but it's 50.
No different. It's 2 inches.
I mean, at that point with adrenaline and my hiking boots on, it's not that different.
And Kyle, since I'm a dumb American who doesn't know anything about Canadian geography, you're going to go over and train stones with Maxime Boudreau, I guess?
100%, just going to casually drive across. I don't even know. There's 4 provinces between us? Only pretty much driving from California to New York. No biggie, right?
Hey, so I gave you the correct preference.
Yep.
about correct preference about me being an idiot.
Kyle, did you you said you're heavy? How heavy are you?
I don't like to talk about that.
That's fine. Then we don't. No, it's all good.
No. I honestly don't care. Since Nationals in 2020 October, I got actually all the way up to 227. I'm usually a thick lightweight. This is the heaviest I've ever been. But now I'm back down around 206 right now. So
okay.
I drop weight very quickly. I got a little chunky. So
okay.
Yeah.
Hey man, it's allowed. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have Robert Hughes in the comments again here. He says it's a 350 top stone. Every year, only 1 or 2 80s ever finish. So lots of points there.
Yeah, I think from my knowledge of OSG, I think I've seen, I want to say Nate Green finish it, and maybe Patrick Castelli are the only guys I think from my knowledge.
Yeah. You're not planning on finishing it, Kyle?
Oh no, I plan on finishing it, but we haven't got there yet, right? I can't be too cocky.
Yeah.
Step 1, make it there.
I don't know, Kyle, how much Kyle talks to other 80s and stuff. Especially the last year or so, I've been the 80s that I talk to, we've been really talking a lot, and I think I'm almost willing to put money down that I think the 80s might stand out as the class to watch. I don't know why, but it seems like, I don't know if it's because we're 80s, so that means that even a big 80 is still kind of small. So I don't know if it's because training with an even bigger chip on our shoulder, but with the way things went last year and stuff, and just the weight class as a whole just took this huge leap forward. I think because we had such a long off season, and I would love to on November 18th or whatever, look at our scores in comparison to the other weight classes. Because I don't know. I feel like we're just gonna.
I feel like it's probably going to be the tightest race we've ever seen. Just looking at the top guys from each year and where everyone's currently at coming into OSG. Looking at Daniel Ashcroft, Dean McVie, Tommy Lavelle, obviously the reigning champ. Nate Green's supposed to be coming back. Carl Sherry, yourself, Robert Hughes. I mean, Rob's on absolute tear right now. So it's and then also Richard Yu down in Florida. It's all of these guys and then Nick Gagnon, Josh Kowalski, right there. That's 10 people.
Yeah,
and
Richard
we have to try.
I think this is. I mean, I don't know. This might be controversial. I feel like, even though it's not always necessary, people, especially in other weight classes, will well, I only got this many reps, so I could save it for later in the day. Whether that's actually true or not, or whatever, I think for the 80s, one, we don't have an excuse to not output 100%. I think to be a good 80 kilo, you have to have such a wide base of fitness and strength and ability that you have to be able to do that, because that's just how the sport is. And I think this year going into OSG, there's not going to be any gaming. There's not going to be any doing a rep and then looking around. You're going to go 100%, whatever 100% is in the moment, to your best ability, because every single point is going to matter. I say that because I missed the finals in 2018 by half a point.
Well, and we have Robert Hughes doing his research in the audience right now too. So keep that in mind. And he just said the 80s also look the best with their shirts off as well. So
I mean,
It's not wrong. Not wrong.
Not wrong at all. The fact that no one has made a CrossFit style documentary about just the 80s is a hugely missed opportunity.
John and I will put it in the works, okay? We'll try and get something together.
Robert, you got to come on our channels one of these days. You have a lot of great tidbits to share there.
Yeah, definitely. We have one other comment here as well from Dylan. He says, in what ways would you account for someone being an athlete?
Well, I would say that realistically in strongman, anyone that comes out and even attempts to compete with us, I would consider them an athlete right at that point, because it takes a huge amount of balls to even get out and do a competition, especially in a sport as crazy as ours, where the injury rate's so high and everything like that. If you're talking about being a competitive athlete, then, that's an entirely different story. But I would just give them the credit, being like, yeah, you've come out, you've put on, your big boy or girl pants and competed. So it's like, I would still consider you an athlete in our sport. Maybe not the highest level, but I would at least give them that recognition, because as U80s, we're trying to build the sport because we don't get recognition at the end of the day. So someone coming out, I'm going to treat them just like I treat, the world champion. But that's also just me being Canadian.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at a competition, you're an athlete. So like, I do think that's something that like some of us need to realize, that like from more like a mental health standpoint, like if you're 6 months out from a contest, you're not an athlete right now, you're a human being. So like you need to like remember that. And I mean that for like longevity. You know what I mean? And I'm saying that kind of to myself. It's like you're an athlete when you're competing. Maybe you're an athlete a few months out. But like if you're at a competition, you're an athlete. I think that is 100% true. And like it doesn't, like, I do not care if someone's in my weight class. I mean, not even in my weight class. If someone's at an event, like we're all on the same level playing field. I don't care if you're a novice. I don't care if you're an 80. I don't care if you're beating me or if I'm beating you. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all athletes in that moment, on that day, hanging out. We're all paying to be there. None of us are getting paid to be there. So, yeah. So on that, holistically, you're an athlete. If we want to get like really galaxy brain about it, like, what is the difference between someone that is strong as an athlete and the difference between someone that's strong and being an athlete? Like, I don't think that's any one thing. You have to look at, a myriad of things. A strongman contest, I think, should be that. Like, I think if you perform hyper consistently through all 5 events at a good strongman show, to me, that means you're probably athletic, unless every event's a deadlift.
There are enough variations of the deadlift where you could have a contest that is all deadlift. So
fair. I mean,
don't tempt anyone organizing it or anything.
That sounds so miserable. That literally sounds terrible. Like hell. No, but I think like, and again, it's not any one thing. Like, some people, and I, I guess this counts as a humble brag, but like some of like my friend Josh Kowalski, he's like, "You're so athletic, man. You're split jerk." I'm like, doing a split jerk does not make me athletic. Like, maybe how I do it, maybe if he thinks so, cool. But like doing attempting an athletic feat does not then make you athletic. You know what I mean? So, and I do think there's a huge difference between being a person that competes in a barbell sport and in being an athlete. I say that there are multiple professional NFL players that come to my gym to either get off-season training or to get like body work done from a physical therapist or a doctor of physical therapy there. And people don't get what the difference is between like me. I started lifting weights 10 years ago. That is my athletic background. And the difference between someone that is a high-level athlete that has spent 20 plus years moving their body in ideal positioning. You know what I mean? So
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Now, I was going to say, it's interesting that you guys brought up Tommy Lavelle earlier. He and Rebecca Lorch are trying to get some more respect for the lightweights. And shout out to _lightweights, LITE, on Instagram. If you're not following them on Instagram, definitely follow them.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to anybody doing anything to help. I mean, anybody doing anything to help. Any of the weight classes, you know, like shout out to Anthony and everyone with Clash on the Coast. But like, obviously, like, Kyle and I are extremely biased, but like, yeah, anybody like pushing hard for the 80s, like I am wholly grateful for. You know, I don't know, man. I think being an 80 is really cool. Like on top of it, like suiting me, you know, from like a biomechanical standpoint. I don't know. It just, to be honest, Magnus Vermagnuson and Derek Poundstone, they're not what made me want to do strongman. The truth is I was working out and was working out so much that I was like, oh, I need to find a sport or a thing to do. So I was like, maybe I'll do a Spartan race, or maybe I'll get into powerlifting. And I found a video of Rob Orlando, this like old school CrossFitter, doing 300-pound Grace, which is 30 clean and jerks, but he did it 30 of them at 300 pounds. And then I found footage of the first 175 Arnold's event with like Richie Stout and Cale Beck, and I can't even remember some of the other guys that were there. But like, there's a photo of Rich Stout that Barbend uses all the time, and it's him with those black and white striped shorts, and his head's buzzed, and he's doing like insanely heavy elevated axle deadlift. And a friend of mine was like, that's an 80 kilo strongman. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Rich doesn't know that, so I guess we'll find out. And it's kind of embarrassing.
Super cool story.
Yeah, so we actually have one comment here, one question in the comments for Kyle from Mason. Says, Kyle, any throwing advice for a fellow Canadian 80 kilogram competing at his first provincials?
Wow, that's a good question. To be honest, I wasn't that great at throwing up until probably like a year ago. I would just say the biggest thing is practice and trying to find someone locally that is in the Highland Games, because those guys are the people that will actually teach you how to throw better than any strongman I've actually ever met. So yeah, go to where the sports originated and try and find people that are very specific in how they do certain events, and that's how you're going to become better. I would just say it's really coming down to learning how to properly utilize a sandbag and your own triple extension, and learning the release point is a big thing as well, at least for sandbags specifically. So, and then, yeah, if you have anyone local, I know you're out in Ontario, if I know correctly. So yeah, trying to find some Highland athletes out there and just like picking their brain, asking more questions, seeing if they have any videos that they could send you or anything like that.
Kyle, do you think also, and at least in my experience, I think because of the fact that like sandbag throwing is by and large so low impact and like doesn't really fatigue you that much, I feel like sometimes strongman athletes forget that it's still an event. So like, we've got like, what's our heaviest bag? Like 50,
55.
like, yeah, whatever it is. Like, you know, I know someone, like, if someone can't get the 50, I know for a fact that what they're going to do is every time they try to do bags, they're just going to try and get the 50, which is, this is like hyperbolic, but that's the equivalent of like, I need to deadlift 700 pounds, so I'm going to try and deadlift 700 pounds every time I deadlift. And I think because the bags are so light and they're not viewing it in the same sort of modality, that people like, oh, I'm just going to throw the 50 until I get it. And it's like, you're actually probably going to go backwards at that point.
Absolutely. I would definitely agree with you there. And that's a great way to put it. So yeah, I would say start with the lightest bag, refine your form with lightweight, and then progress, obviously, as your body's capable of progressing.
Well, damn it. That's what I'm doing wrong with my deadlift.
We nailed it, guys. He's hitting 700 in 4 weeks. if you hit a 700-pound deadlift in 4 weeks, I might not ever surface my face in public ever again.
Don't worry, it'll never happen.
Well, not with that attitude.
It's funny you say that. So one of my first videos was how would the average guy compare to Eddie Hall's world record deadlift? And so I thought, well, he did 1,102 pounds. So like someone who's never tried it before could do 400, no problem. Like, no.
400 kilos?
No, pounds. Even pounds is a lot for someone who's never touched a deadlift before.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
And you know, like I had to make it funny. So it wasn't in a gym on a nice floor like I did it outside on the grass, which made it even harder. And I think I did 275 the first time I ever did it. So,
I mean, I grew up in coal country, so that this might be, you know, a bias, but like I kind of feel like with, I don't want to say weird stuff, but like things that aren't a barbell extensively, like, I don't know if it's like a neurological thing, but like when you're moving, unless you lift weights, like if you're moving stuff out of someone's house, you're not like, how much does that weigh? You're just like, oh, okay, we'll figure it out and blah, 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 blah. So I mean, there's definitely a curve of like not knowing, and also like an object being like, what's the word? Like malleable.
Unwieldy. Yeah, unwieldy.
Yes. Yeah. Like, dude, what I will say is where I lived and where I started lifting weights, like I said, was like right outside of coal country, and like dudes that never worked out really, like that just carried slate and moved coal and stuff like that would like work out every now and then, basically like a bodybuilder, were so like, just like what I would say is like strongman strong, holistically strong. Like it was crazy. Like they couldn't really like they all benched 3 plates, even though they were like 400 pounds, but like they were just like full strong. Like, I don't know, people call it farm strong, but yeah, there's something to be said for that too.
Well, I would say up here in Canada, we definitely have a thing where it's like there's kids that happen to live on farms as well that just do farm labor, and it's like you bring them into a gym or like try strongman. In the northern part of BC, we have a small town called Williams Lake, and there's so many just ridiculously naturally talented people there because it's like a hardworking small town where they just do hard labor, and it's like they're like, oh, come try strongman, and then it's like these guys are picking up like 300-pound Atlas stones. You're like, what in the you just dumbfounded. You're like, well, that took me like 4.5 years to get there, but you just did it day one. This is cool. And the other thing to that though is I would say even from like strongman association though, if you believe the weight is heavy, you're not going to necessarily attack it with the same aggression as being like, oh, let's say 500 pounds is only 135 pounds. You're not going to perceive that weight the same. So it's a psychological thing as well.
100%.
I think that definitely carries over because like I grew up working on dairy farms, and so I grew up, you know, throwing hay bales around and all that sort of stuff. And my bar lifts have never been, I mean, they're decent, but they're not fantastic. But the first time I started training with Atlas stones, within 4 months or something like that of starting, I was able to load the 385 for doubles over I think it was a 58-inch bar is what we had it set at. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like, I love stones. These are easy. And the other dude I was training with, you know, he has like he's actually been on the channel as well, Cecil. He's got like an 800-pound deadlift and something similar squat and everything, and could barely do the doubles with the 385 stone. And I was like, okay, so you're way stronger with the bar lifts, but I'm having a blast with the stone and it's miserable for you. But I think a lot of it was just like our background. I'm used to just picking up funky looking objects and, you know, heavy, funky looking objects. Whereas like when it's just a bar in my hands, I don't know, that for some reason, I don't know, neurologically, I don't fire the same or something.
No, that's totally a factor. And I love when that happens. And I think it's situations like that, I think are really funny. And it's also cool to see someone either whatever direction they are, whether there's someone that's good with a bar, like statically, and then they need to work on their like brute strength, come like full circle, or the like the like farm strong person learning to become efficient with a barbell. Because I think both, like, it's a swinging door. Like, I don't think one's better than the other.
Well, I think that's one of the benefits of strongman too, is because you have both. You have the bar lifts, you have the stones, you have the anvils, and then you also have loading medleys and everything else. And so it's like, it's a whole hodgepodge of just all sorts of different stuff. And so you can be fantastic at your squat, deadlift, and bench or whatever, and you might come in last in a strongman comp because none of the events favor what you're good at.
Yep.
So, yeah. That's why
See,
I love
I fall into a slightly less strong category. I call it suburb strong. So if you guys don't know the story, the logo, if you don't know the story, during the world situation, I built an outdoor movie theater at the house for the kids just to give them something to do and whatnot. And I got this idea. I want it to be comfortable. I want recliners out there, and I'll just cover them up in the weather and whatever. So I ordered these recliners, and my front yard is on a hill, and there's a flight of stairs. So you see the UPS guys come, and two of them have, a dolly. They bring up the boxes, and I'm watching, and, I grew up as an only child. So like I used to push my dad's car up and down the driveway for fun. Like I used to have to come up with these creative things. And so I see the two guys bring up the boxes, and I take it as a challenge. I'm like, for real? It took two of you? Like I need it in the back of the house. I'm going to do it by myself. And so my original videos, if you watch on my channel, is me carrying these boxes by myself just to prove like you needed tools and two guys. I'm going to do it with no tools and one guy. And so that's where the logo came from with the chair.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Sadly, though, you keep doing that and you keep doing strongman, you're just going to get called over to help your friends move.
I have a couple friends that compete in strongman, and they've all said that now when someone asks them to come help them move, they're like, well, I actually charge $20 an hour or something like that because I can move the fridge by myself. So is it worth $20 for me to come over and move the fridge by myself, or should you just call 4 other guys?
The amount of stuff at work that either needs to get moved or opened or like anything like that, like Cody, I'm like.
Speaking of the fridge, what's everybody's favorite old-time strongman event that should come back?
Oh man.
This is what I do. I'm good at segues.
Yeah, no. Okay. Let's see.
I'm going with sumo, 100% sumo. I think it was one of those funny things where you throw two guys in there, and I mean, yes, it's a recipe for absolute disaster if someone has some degree of football backing or anything like that. I think it was more of a spectacle. Is it the best strongman thing? No, probably not. But
it's a subtle spectacle, but.
Yeah, sumo is really divisive. Some people love it and some people hate it.
I think it's a spectacle, but no one is putting their hands on it. A lot of knife. Man, I just want I want the stuff that we lift to be big. So like, I don't know, either like a true silver dollar deadlift, like a safe or something. I just want stuff to be big.
I think we've somewhat lost the spectacle side of the sport at like large shows. And that's still what like some of the bigger shows that heavyweights and stuff like that do, is they have those really, really cool things where sometimes for us littler guys is like, yeah, we're doing a log or like a silver dollar deadlift, but we've standardized the equipment so much because people are like, well, we want it to be sport. I get that, but sometimes like I feel as though promoters should be like, oh, we have a mystery event. Sucks to suck. It's strongman. Come out and, figure it out. And then it's like, oh, well, now we have a safe carrier or a fire hydrant carrier or something like that, right?
God, I want to carry a fire hydrant so bad.
Speaking of fire hydrant, did you guys catch Clash on the Coast? They're 105s, but did you watch it at all?
Yeah, 100%.
What? How crazy is that? They had to carry fire hydrants on sand.
The fact that OSG is in Daytona and the venue's on the water and we don't have one event in the sand, I think is bullcrap. I would love for us to have to like run through sand doing it. I don't think there's enough running in strongman, but I'm like I personally think like the CrossFit Games, any event that's for time, we should still have to run to like a timer pad personally. But yeah, the medley should be modified to be done in the water. in Daytona, like coming like what is the 2010?
Sun City?
Huh?
Sun City, the world's strongest man with a sandbag.
You're talking about Brian and Z. And
yeah, dude. Let's do it.
Look what I've done, Isaac. I've caused an argument.
I know. I was gonna say that. Like, I love that, but maybe not sandbags, because the moment you drop it into the water and it just soaks up all the water, and all of a sudden the bag's 50 pounds heavier.
Not even like just start in the sand. Like, even just make us run through sand to get to pavement. Like, just something.
I think I think doing that would work. I think the downside with the water is the first guy who drops it in the water, everybody else is going to complain that the bag is so much heavier because so-and-so dropped it in the water.
Wait, are you saying the strongmen complain?
Yeah, we do.
Certain strongmen. So, I mean, I think we've all watched Brian's video on why he hates mystery events, right? Like,
I haven't seen that video.
Oh, he talked about it in one of his recent videos.
Last year at Alberta's provincial, so the province next to British Columbia, we actually had a sandbag medley outside. And for the provincials, though, we didn't realize it would be raining, so those sandbags sat outside in the rain all day. So we had to load, I think it was 2 sandbags into the back of a truck and push the truck, and it was like torrential downpour. So I have experienced this. It is terrible. Absolutely god-awful. So having experienced that, I know what it's like, and no, I don't want to play with sandbags in the rain or in the water, even if there's not in sand. Fuck that.
By the way, Kyle, the way that we in the U.S. know Alberta, at least people my age, if you were a wrestling fan, is Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yep, classic.
No, yeah, just like big stuff. Make the objects bigger. Like, make strongman shows need to be a spectacle. I know, like, we're like trying to make it a challenge and only the best. Dude, whatever. Like, I don't disagree, but like, even if you have to make stuff lighter, but you can make it more of a spectacle, that's better. Also, if you get beat by someone that is not as strong as you because it's too light, then guess what? You're not strong. I don't care what your max is. Like, if anything, having a higher max than somebody is more of a reason that they should not be able to out-rep you. Like, because you have the requisite strength, so you should be putting more focus on that energy system to knock out reps. So, like, I would be all in favor of doing more spectacle type events, even if they have to be lighter to get more people into it. My friend David does almost exclusively, like, he does like some traditional lifts, like strength and conditioning work, but then he does like all the really weird lifts. Like, he does like the one where you pull the bar is behind you and then you pull it up onto your back and then behind the neck press it.
Is that the Arthur lift? I forget. I
honestly, so I don't know the names of any of that stuff except for like the Steinborn squat. But like the Steinborn squat is actually the most normal lift that he does.
I Steinborned a log in the forest the other day. Isaac, you saw my reel, right?
You did what?
I Steinborned a log in the forest. I went and found a log and Steinborned a log in the forest.
That's awesome.
Well, you guys know who JT Sowards is, right?
Yep.
Master Strongman competitor.
Yeah.
And he's always doing, like the Arthur lift and stuff like that. And he puts up some big numbers. And I've tried to do some of the stuff that he does in the gym. And some of it I can just about match. And some of it I'm like, I don't have, like, I'm really flexible. And I don't have like the strength with that range of motion to complete it safely, I guess.
Yeah, we actually had him and some other guys on one of these streams, and I tried to do one of his lifts on camera. It was pretty fun. He did he does like in his teeth, he put a towel through it was 2 plates plus some smaller plates, I think. I did it with 1 plate, and it was hard enough. I felt it in my jaw for the whole rest of the interview.
Yeah, and then he holds it by the towel.
Yeah.
Well, he's also what? He pulled his car by his lifting belt by biting the end of it or something like that. He like closed the belt in the trunk and then pulled the car backwards down the street with his teeth. Like, so he's one of those strong men, you know.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't have. This is not me knocking it. I just have very little interest in doing that stuff unless it's at a contest, but I fully support people doing it.
So you're saying we need to have a car pull by your lifting belt pulled with your teeth in a contest. Is that what I'm hearing?
If that's going to get me a national championship or a podium finish at OSG, then I will train it harder and more efficiently than anyone in the sport. But until then, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, when we say there should be more events that are a spectacle, a truck pull would count as a spectacle, right?
100%. I feel like truck pulls were like a big thing for a minute, and they've kind of died down. I think just logistically they can be a challenge because unless you have multiple trucks, it's going to slow everything down. Like even if you have two, that's only two for like, let's say a solid strongman show has a minimum of what, like 35 competitors, you know? So like if you have two cars for 35 people, that's going to be a huge log jam, even with like when you do groups. So like every group does the events in different order. You know what I mean? Like the first show back that I did as a middleweight, that's what we did. They had groups and we did each event in a different order. But by the end of it, because of the truck and because of stones, we got like a massive delay. So I think that's why it started to die down a little bit. But a vehicle pull, whether it's like you're actually pulling it and you're moving, or if you're seated, I think that everyone wants a picture of them doing that. Like that's why I think it's so cool of Lynn, the promoter of OSG. Like the reason he said he put the yoke on day 2 of OSG instead of like the finals was he wants everyone competing to have a chance to get a picture of them carrying a car. And like on the face of it, I mean, you guys get it, but on the face of it, that sounds like, oh, who cares? But like every contest might be your last, full stop. Who knows? Like that doesn't mean you're going to get hurt, but like you might do a contest and then you're like, oh, I want to go back to being normal and not spending money on sport. And you get to look back and say, well, hey man, like I got to carry this car across, the field at this thing I did at some point. And like, that's very thoughtful and mindful. And that's also a great way to just, tell the athletes like, hey, you're paying, this is where your money's going. You're going to carry a car.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, even at Worlds, Terry Hollins in the middle of competing went over to the cameraman and said, hey, make sure you get some good photos because I think these might be the last ones. Like you never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Dude, that moment is like burned into my like frontal lobe. He was just so, I mean, not that I've never met Terry. It would be sick if he did masters at OSG again, and I got to. He is someone I've looked up to since I got into strongman, but just like he was just so, it's like a totally normal interaction, and like you could see like him like, yeah, he's like, this is it. Like, I mean, I know there's a rumor he might do like some of the Giants live stuff every now and then, but in terms of World's Strongest Man, he's done. And just to see him say something that like my first contest, I don't actually have any photos from because I was like, I got to do really good. Even though I was the only 80-kilo athlete, I was going alone, so it didn't matter. But like, I don't have that much footage from it at all because like I was too focused. But also like I was there alone, and I didn't want to like walk up to someone like, will you video my event for me, please? But no, dude, that moment, honestly. That moment comes second to Tom finishing the stones and his brother like holding him for me. Like Terry is just so open and like just asking this guy like, hey man, can you get a picture of me because this is going to be the last time I do this? Like, and he wasn't mad. I'm sure he was like a little sad, but it was just like, hey man, I'm not going to be doing this ever again. I would really like some good photos. And the guy was like more than happy to and like obliged. And it was just a really nice human moment seeing people that like by definition are human, but like Terry is like essentially a Terminator by this point in my mind,
Well, he's been competing forever. And I mean, like, he's made it to the finals, what, like 11 times, 12 times, something like that. Like he's an extremely consistent athlete. He's never won it, but I mean, like, he's a strong dude. And like
I think Terry has 2 podiums, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's podiumed a couple times, but he's never won it.
At a certain point, like, so they were talking about this with bodybuilding. Who was the guy that won a bunch? Phil Heath. They were comparing Phil Heath to Kai Green, and Kai Green never beat Phil. And they talked about how Phil's going to go down as one of the like best bodybuilders ever because of all his wins. But they talk about, but Kai, this was a few years ago, they're like, Kai Green's legacy as a person in the world is going to outlast Phil's legacy as a bodybuilder. And I think that's what it'll be for Terry. Like, Terry's placement at Worlds, whenever, has now almost become irrelevant. And he's now this like showcase of the sport and of like somebody that like at least has been a good enough of a person that he's like been able to be in the sport. And like, you've never seen anyone not say, there's a difference between somebody being like, oh, that's Terry, or you know what I mean? But like when other athletes hear about Terry or talk about Terry, it is with like so much like warmth and affection and respect that like he's obviously like above and beyond a super solid human, and is even if he came in last place every time at World's Strongest Man, he's still like a freak strong athlete. And it transcends any one event, any one placement. Like he is like now a part of this like the zeitgeist of strength sports.
By the way, if you're into bodybuilding at all, that whole Kai Green Phil Heath comparison, Kai Green has the greatest posing routine of all time. If you haven't seen it, you seen it? You guys should all look up. You guys should all look up Kai Green Dirty Diana. It's the best posing routine of all time.
If you're into bodybuilding, if you're not, which I'm not really, I just wanted to be jacked, so I was like following bodybuilding. But I mean, speaking of athleticism, like he is insanely athletic.
Yeah, he was teaching Juji Mufu bodybuilding posing recently, wasn't he?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's one thing bodybuilding needs, it definitely needs posing help nowadays. But he'd be the guy to learn from.
Yeah, for sure.
Kyle, did you book your hotel for Daytona yet?
Not yet, no. I'm waiting to see what the Canada policy for the old world issues is right now and all of that.
Okay,
jazz.
So someone else I know brought that up. Is there, I mean, we don't have to go down this road, or if all we have to do is avoid the verbiage, but is that I have no, I mean, I'm cognizant of the immediate in my area outside of Washington, D.C., but is there like a feeling internationally that there might be some come down hard stuff for some traveling?
So the thing with Canada is it's like super duper strange right now. Certain provinces are doing their own thing, whereas like everything's back to normal, and other provinces it's still like, 1936 Germany kind of stuff. So a little sketchy, but at the end of the day, it's more or less just kind of waiting to see what the entire country kind of comes up with, because we're still bound by the federal laws and stuff like that. So individually, like provincially, it's like I can go out and do whatever I want without a mask or anything like that. Still go out dining. There's no things stopping us from doing that kind of stuff. But if you look at like Quebec or Ontario, they still have a lot of other things preventing them from doing that kind of stuff. So in terms of like booking things, it's like Lynn has made it very like out there, like, oh, if anything does prevent people, he's willing to honor their like spots and stuff like that for the following year. So it's one of those things where it's like I'm not too worried about the hotel or anything like that. I have a lot of friends that are going down. So worst case, Ontario, we just get an Airbnb or something like that, and then figure it out closer to.
Yeah, I think the official policy is you come to New Jersey, hang out with me for a week, and then you proceed along your way.
Sounds like a plan, man. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. I'm actually trying. So my mom lives not far from Daytona, and my hope is, because my birthday is the weekend before, I would love if I could go down, see my mom, who I think's watching, and then I would love to get like one last session in with Raph down. He's a little farther south. But if I could get like Raph to meet me and like maybe me, him, and Rich or somebody, and get like either like a log session in, or just, it would be cool to get some last meaningful session in, and then worry about the weight cut for the whole week. But yeah, you come down earlier.
Yeah.
So speaking, yeah, go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
I'm probably going to be coming down like a week in advance, just because I'm usually a fair bit heavier, and with travel, I want to make sure I'm well close to, and then I'll probably spend some time there afterwards just enjoying the beach and the fact that it's Florida, and up here in Canada it's a little colder than down south.
Yeah,
so
gotta go to Disney, bro.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm thinking more like the NASCAR Daytona 500 Speedway, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that doesn't really cost any money, so have at it.
I know.
I've been there. I've been to the qualifier for the Daytona 500. I'm really redneck. So yeah.
No, Cody, you said that's near your birthday, so our birthdays are close together. When's yours?
November 6th.
I'm November 11th.
Oh boy, Scorpio.
Yeah. I'm Veterans Day. As a kid in school, I used to get it off. Now at school, nothing.
Yeah. Well, my birthday is usually an election day, so that's not been stressful at all the last few years.
But speaking of moms, hi mom, and my mom is November 7th.
Holy crap. Wow. That's awesome. What is the travel time like, Kyle? Like, how long is it going to take you to get to Daytona?
Oh man, I don't even know. Just to get across Canada to Quebec for nationals, and that's not even like all the way across Canada. That was, I think, like, I want to say it was 12 hours. So considering I'm coming from the furthest western point in Canada to like the furthest southeastern point in America, it's probably going to take a little while. I would say it's going to be a solid day's worth of a trip and then some.
Are you flying or are you driving, Kyle?
Well, I'm definitely going to fly. It's just usually the layovers and stuff like that end up taking a silly amount of time.
Because I think, because I had to look it up before, because we used to fly, if we flew through SeaTac and then we'd hit Vancouver, and a lot of times going that route would have cheaper flights to Virginia and whatever else. And I think they do have direct flights down to like Miami, so you could probably do something like that and then do a little puddle jumper up to Daytona, or get a rental car or something too and do it that route. But
yeah,
Vancouver should have direct flights.
Don't try to fly into Daytona. Yeah, do Orlando. Yeah, FYI, anybody watching this that is from somewhere very far away, don't even look up flights into the Daytona airport. Just fly into one of the 2 or 3 in Orlando and drive 45 minutes.
Good power tip. Hey, Isaac, it just occurred to me before we wrap up for the evening, we haven't talked about Kyle being Canada's strongest man under 80 kilo for 2020. We should go into, Kyle, how you that whole journey and your experiences there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, geez, where do I start? I've been competing in the sport for probably like 5 or 6 years. In 2018, I got second at nationals there. So it was one of those bittersweet moments. I actually only lost from first by half a point. And it was based on just my pressing ability. So in 2019, I jumped up a weight class. I went to middleweight because I was kind of pissed off about cutting weight and all of that jazz. And then in 2020, in 2019, I saw the lightweights compete, and not to bash any of the lightweights that are out there or anything like that, but I felt as though it was a little lackluster except for the top 3 guys. So in 2020, I made a point of coming back, completely dedicating myself to keeping my weight under control, that kind of stuff. And I also wanted to be one of the first Canadians to actually go out and kick some serious butt on an international stage, because I knew I had the capabilities to hang with guys like Cody and Rob and like Dan and Tommy and things like that. So yeah, put on through the work and whatnot, and I came out. I think I won out of the 5 or 6 events we had. I won 4 out of 6, and then I placed second in the 2 that I didn't win. So I made sure I put a stamp on the competition. It wasn't really that close. Not to hate on any of my competitors. I'm sorry, guys.
No, but that's awesome. Great story.
How long ago was that? That was recently, wasn't it, Kyle?
Yeah, that was just last October. So yeah, it was traveling to Quebec was a little strange at that point in time, obviously. Yeah. And the biggest thing, actually, the hardest part of that whole competition was the weight cut. We stayed in an Airbnb, and I had to do a weight cut in the bathtub, so like a hot bath. Yep. But we stayed in Quebec City, which is one of the oldest cities in Canada. This little tiny place we stayed in, the hot water tank didn't last more than an hour and a bit. So I had the guy staying with me actually have to heat up water in pots and pans and bring it to the bathtub to help me make weight. It was probably one of the most terrible experiences of my entire life, and it took far too long. I had to walk around the block in a sweatsuit, spitting, using sour candies and stuff like that. But I made weight, and then bounced back up to close to 205 pounds the following day. So it was good. Made sure the rehydration was on point.
What did you cut from?
What did I cut from?
Yeah.
I think I landed in Quebec at 196, and then I spent 2 days cutting. 3 days. 2.
Wow.
It was 2 days.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten it down to a relatively good science. The whole cutting procedure sucks something fierce, but I have the rehydration side of it and the exact food and pretty much everything I take right in the 6-8 hours following pretty mapped out. So everything just came together pretty much as perfect could have. And then the day of the competition, I didn't make any mistakes or anything like that. I reserved myself on the events I knew that I was potentially going to lose at. And yeah, it just played in my favor. So
you get to do any sightseeing at all? Quebec City is beautiful.
Yeah, the first day I was there, I wasn't too worried about the weight cut or anything like that. So I got to go check out the old Quebec City and all of the giant castle and the cannons, the fort, all of that kind of stuff. Got to walk around, tour around. And then after making weight, I definitely got to eat a fair bit of food. Once again, though, at that point in time, last October, everything was somewhat closed. So we weren't even technically supposed to be in Quebec City. There was fines if we were actually caught there. So, but we still made fun. Tried a lot of good food, stuff like that. Still got to see some of the sights. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's a great city. One of these days when my kids are a little older and more willing to travel without causing a ruckus, I got to get back over, see Quebec City. JF told me drop by anytime, so visit his gym. It'll be an awesome trip.
Yeah, we trained so where JF's gym is, there's a tire shop that the owner of Casa actually owns, Anton, and that's right next door to it. So we actually just competed in the back of his tire shop because the original venue obviously couldn't move forward with the pre-booked reservation. So we actually competed all Fight Club in the back of a giant tire shop right next to where JF trains and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. That's fun.
What were the events, Kyle?
The first event was, I want to say it was a yoke, 100 feet. It was only 550. Second event was 3 reps with an axle deadlift leading into a barbell deadlift inside of 60 seconds. The axle was 450. The regular barbell was 5. Third event was duck walk. Or was it yoke to farmers? No, yoke. I know there's a yoke, and then I think, no, yoke was there back then was farmers and duck walk. Farmers was 255 per hand. Duck walk was 3 something. Then we had an axle hold for time, and that was, I want to say 265. And then the final event was supposed to be sandbag throw, but we couldn't do that outside. So we switched it to a axle clean and press for reps at 2, okay. I think it was 35.
That's awesome.
All of those sound fun except the duck walk. I don't know.
I don't know if people hate duck walk.
Doesn't everybody hate duck walk?
I do not.
I don't mind doing it. I think everyone looks stupid doing it.
That is fair. That is fair.
That too, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I have I have very short femurs, but like long arms, so like it works out well for me, like from a competitive standpoint. But like everyone looks just dumb as hell doing it.
There's no pretty way to do duck walk. I have really long arms and similar. I have short legs, so like duck walk and I go hand in hand. But yeah, you don't ever look good doing duck walk.
You look utterly ridiculous.
So do you like power stairs then, or because that's a little bit different, but it's kind of a similar movement?
Yeah,
I've never had to do power stairs. Sorry.
So
Either of you.
So in 2018, we did duck walk 2 power stairs for our nationals there. And once again, it was one of those things because I'm a little bit taller for U80. Like I'm not Shaquille O'Neal of the U80s or anything like that. But I'm above 5'5". So anything with height, I'm a little better off. And power stairs is one of those things where if you're a little bit taller and you can kind of shrug up and utilize that, it pays off a fair bit, I would say.
Yeah, that's an event I really want to do is power stairs. I've never gotten to do it. So hoping that's on the bucket list.
Yeah. At the last competition that I helped out at, so I was a spotter loader basically for it. And they had power stairs there. And I forget the heaviest that it went up to was like a 425 or something like that. And for some reason, somehow the way it worked out was there were 3 of us, and so there were 3 implements going up and down the stairs, and I got stuck with the heavy one, bringing it back down the stairs every single time. And I think that was so much worse, even though it's an eccentric movement, you're just bringing it down the steps. Doing a heavy implement, because we had 60 some competitors total, and then with each class it increases in weight. And so at the end of the day, doing eccentric power stairs basically with this 425-pound, that was miserable. I was like, I would much rather just compete and blast this up the stairs once and be done with it.
Volunteering is definitely way more work than competing usually.
Yeah, it was fun seeing the other side of the competition for once, and seeing how everything is run and tied together and all that. But it was also at the point where I was like, I think competing is a lot more fun because you just have to do the event and then you're done with it and you can wait till the next one. But oh well, some people love it, I guess.
I do something very similar to power stairs at home. I call it the laundry carry.
Do you do it overhead while you're going up the stairs? Or
No, just like a duck walk position.
Okay.
Hey man, I believe it. There's only 2 of us in this house, and the amount of laundry that we produce is insane.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. With just my wife and I feel like we didn't have that much laundry, and then now that we have 2 kids, we have a 1-year-old and a 2.5, almost 3-year-old. The amount of laundry they go through, I'm like, this is ridiculous. You guys got to start pitching in, okay? This is all these free rides. No, those are ending pretty quick.
Yeah, our house is old, so we can't run the washer and dryer at the same time, or it throws a breaker, so that really slows down the laundry process.
I don't doubt it. That sounds rough.
Yeah, annoying.
So, we're kind of getting close to the end here, but I was going to say, Cody, before we go, we've heard your dog multiple times. Can we see your dog at least once, or is he not around?
Yeah, well, we have 2. Let me see. Hold on.
Okay.
Kyle, you have any pets?
I do have a pet. French bulldog crossed with a pug, just a wee little goblin.
Oh, they are both in bed with their mother, my wife, so I can't fetch them, but they are all over my Instagram. So, but yeah, I'm actually surprised none of them actually came in here. They're very nosy. Yeah.
My dog. We had a Rhodesian Ridgeback English Lab mix. He was a rescue, and he was an awesome dog. But we finally had to put him down. I guess it was right before we moved, actually. So last summer sometime. But I was like, man, it's so weird. you know, he's a little 70-pound dog, and you don't really notice him that much throughout the day until all of a sudden they're gone. And then you're just like, wow, I don't hear those claws clicking on the linoleum or whatever. And yeah, I was like, it's weird not having a dog now. So
it's because you're a strong man, Isaac. A 70-pound dog is big to everybody else.
I was actually just going through that. Because our dogs are like 55, 60 pounds, and we're like trying to find a new house to rent. And like all the like houses around here are like small pets allowed. And it's like, to me, these just look like normal dogs. So
yeah, right.
So I grew up with bull mastiffs as a kid, and the story goes like my dad, before I was born, before I got married, he was living with my grandmother, and the house got broken into. So he thought, I better get a big, scary looking dog who's still great with the family. So he gets a bull mastiff. And then, you know, I don't know if you know kind of the breeding, but basically they were bred to catch poachers. So people who would poach sheep or whatnot, they would chase them down and pin them to the ground until the dog's master would come and give the release command and call the cops or whatever. So the dog would stay in a hallway, like the basement with it was my grandmother's dog. So it was a 90-pound dog. That was the small one because she ended up being a show dog. Then we had like a chubbier, bigger one later. But so she would stay. She was my grandmother's dog. My grandmother would walk her no problem. And so sometimes she'd go into this hallway that overlooked the garbage cans. So the garbage man comes to get the garbage, and to the dog, that's an intruder who's posing a threat to my home, right? So the window was like in that hallway was right about where the dog's face was, but to outside, it's like 6 feet in the air. So she saw that garbage man, ran, jumped through both panes of glass into his chest, pinned him to the ground in the driveway. The guy's like crying, right? So my dad walks over, okay, let him go. And, you know, they don't bite. They just pin him down. And she's slobbering all over him, right? So she lets him go, walks back in the house, and the guy's like freaking out, you know? But yeah, I always remember that story.
They sound terrifying. One of when we lived back over towards Bellingham, and we used to have a ton of friends up in Canada, up kind of by Kyle's area. And one of our friends, he was I think he was like a children's doctor, some sort of doctor. But they bred mastiffs, and so they had a Great Dane that was the family dog. And then their stud, his name was Zeus, and he was 175 pounds or something like that. And then Athena was their female, and she was like 150 or something. And it was crazy because like they'd have a litter of pups, and all the puppies are just massive. I was like, they come out like the size of a cat, you know? Like I was like, basically, you know. So it was always crazy though. But like, if you went over and you rang the doorbell, all three of those dogs would just start barking like crazy, and they have the deepest, most terrifying barks ever. I was like, these are fantastic guard dogs because they're very, very loud, but they never bit. But they would yeah, kind of what you were saying. Like they had a couple instances where the dogs would kind of like intentionally push people over if they didn't like them, basically. And I was like, when you have a 170-something pound dog that come over and like hit bumps you just to show you to back up, basically, I was like, that's a little scary.
Yeah, I had to go to the emergency vet with my dog one time, and a woman with her child walked in with a purebred mastiff, and it's the biggest dog I've ever seen. Like even for a mastiff, it was huge. And so they were calling it by name, and of course, you're all gonna laugh. His name was Tank. So he walks into the room where we're in, and the nurse is saying, Tank, come back in this room. We have to weigh you. So they weigh him, and I hear her yell from the other room. I couldn't believe what I heard. Oh my God, Tank, you're 275. The world record's like 313. I was like, oh my God.
I lived in an old house with a bunch of friends in Tennessee a long time ago, and I was young, and I was working out then, but I wasn't training. I was just working out. So I was still like going out a lot. And on Saturdays when I would be out after work, because I didn't work on Sundays, I would be on the porch with my roommates, drinking, hanging out. And every night at like 2 a.m, we would see this bull mastiff by itself like not running, not walking, but sort of trotting on the sidewalk through this like old Tree Street neighborhood that like there was a lot of like medians and it was like a really like nice old neighborhood. And we would just, he would do it for like 2 or 3 hours, like through the night, just trot, like running the same route back and around and back and around. And I never saw him walking during the day with an owner. I only ever saw him literally in the middle of the night. And I always like just wondered, like, does he let himself out? Does he have a key? Like,
yeah, it's that patrol for poachers thing in their breeding.
Yeah. I was gonna say because because my friends' dogs, they would do that because they'd let them out at night, and they had, oh man, it had to be 5 or 6 acres. It was a bigger lawn-ish area that was all fenced in, and the dogs would just wander the perimeter the entire night, basically. And so I think, as far as I know, that is a habit of the breed. But
just like a patrol dog.
Yeah, basically, because I know of Charkas and stuff are kind of the same way. The Russian Shepherds or whatever they are, because they can get to 200 some pounds as well. They're massive dogs, and they'll do the same thing where they pick a perimeter and then they'll just patrol that.
Wow.
So yeah, so growing up with dogs like that, and then like one of my best friends, he had a Rottweiler Poodle mix, which is a very interesting blend. So her name was Mandy, and she was like 145 pounds or something like that. Built like a Rottweiler, but with the long curly hair of a poodle. So growing up with all these like massive dogs, and then my wife and I got this rescue, and he's only 70 pounds. And so, like, it's like, well, yeah, he's just a little dog. He's not that big.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so quick reminder, anybody who hasn't liked this stream, definitely do that. Subscribe to Hunger Smash Fitness. And Isaac, unless you have anything else to throw in, maybe we give the guys a chance to promote anything they'd like to, or any shout outs that you guys would like to do.
Yeah, or any sponsors that you guys have too, if you want to shout out any of that.
Kyle, you can go.
Sweet. So I'd just like to give a shout out to my main key sponsor, Keystone Mechanical, and Chris Gilly. He's paid for my flights to nationals. He's also sponsored me to go down to Daytona, Florida as well. Just an all-around good guy. He's been trying to help promote the sport in Canada any way he can, putting up sponsorship money and like prizes for all the contests pretty much in Western Canada. He also made Martin's Leashes and Romark their circus dumbbell that they got, the big silver sear one. So yeah, he's just great guy all around. Also, if you're interested in looking to get stronger and stuff like that, check out my coaching page, Ronan Fitness, on Instagram. And then a couple shout outs to the guy to train with, Tyson DeLay, who's Little Thunder 94, Little Big Thunder now, and then Bill Murray Jr. So those are the main guys that really keep it together for me. So yeah.
Shout out to my wife for being insanely supportive. With as like neurotic as I get about this stuff. And then my coach, Will Hall, I tag him on every post. And then my nutritionist, Emily, who works at Black Iron Nutrition, I tag them in all my posts. At this moment, I don't have any sponsors, but if Cerberus wanted to give me an email, Ken, you know how to get a hold of me, I think. I've emailed you before. Let me know. And then, check out all those people. Check out my gym, Tyson's Playground. Check out my old, dank, wet garage gym that I train in as well in 95-degree Washington, D.C. heat. And,
I feel you there.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. Everybody check out everybody's channel. Everybody also needs to sign up at officialstrongman.com. And be able to stream OSG, because that's another way to support Strongman.
Absolutely.
Is to sign up and watch the stream.
Yeah. One other thing too, I'd just like to shout out to my girlfriend as well for putting up all my BS and the eating, the weight cuts, all of that stuff. So thanks, Danielle, for being there for me as well, and obviously, being the rock that keeps me sane through Strongman.
Fantastic messages, guys, both of you. And if you're both working out of garage gyms, you guys should reach out to my buddy John at Garage Gym Life Media. He's doing a lot to promote garage gym culture and what you can accomplish there. So, like, you guys should, I'm sure he'd be happy to highlight you and spotlight you. So reach out to him.
Sick.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us today, guys. And if you message me all those links, I can put those in the description of the video as well, just to make sure that if people want them, they can have a nice, easy thing to click on. Seems to help out a little bit. But yeah, thanks for joining us today, and thanks everyone who's watching. Yeah, like we said before, please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Catch all of our later episodes. Go back and watch previous ones. Make sure you head over to John's channel at My Block Strongest Man. Subscribe to him as well. Like all of his videos. I think he's got like 100 some of them now, so it might take a while to go through and like every single one. But
275.
275. So it's going to take a long time to like every single video, but it'll help him out a lot, and I'm sure it would totally make his day. But anyways, that is all for today, and just remember to always improve that 1%.
Ciao, homie.